They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
People of Springfield, please don't eat my cats. Why would you do that? Eat something else. People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog. Here's a catalog of other things to eat.
Catchy tune. The internet remains undefeated. That is one of the latest creations of the pet-eating Haitians rumor born out of Springfield, Ohio. That rumor did go viral after a picture purporting to show a Haitian migrant walking down the street of the city with 2 geese in tow. Come to find out, it's more complicated than that. That was in Columbus, Ohio, not Springfield, and the geese were apparently not for dinner. According to TMZ, the man removed the birds from the street after they were hit by a car. The Ohio Division of Wildlife confirmed that. The agency also told TMZ there was no further indication that he took them home for dinner.
But despite that, Donald Trump's vice presidential nominee, Senator J.D. Vance, doubled down on the false story, pushing it on CNN's State of the Union with Dana Bash Sunday. Now, we're going to get to that later in the show. But meanwhile, Erica Lee, the Springfield resident whose Facebook post sparked the rumours, well, she's now backtracking. She had initially posted about her neighbour's missing cat, and she said the feline was attacked by a Haitian immigrant. But on Friday, Lee told NBC News that she had no first-hand knowledge of any such incident, and she regrets sparking the fallout. She has since deleted the post, but the damage is done. On Thursday, Springfield City Hall was evacuated after a bomb threat was issued to, quote, multiple facilities. And on Friday, the Springfield City School District closed 1 middle school and evacuated 2 elementary schools.
Well, look, I think obviously anyone making death threats ought to be condemned, and that tactic should be condemned, and it's very bad, and no one should be spreading false rumors about what's going on. And, you know, just like believing pictures you see on the internet is not helpful. We got to track those down and find out that, like, there was a case of a pet cat being killed or something, but that was not done by a Haitian migrant, and that was in a different city as well. And then the guy with the birds apparently was just cleaning up the street, which is a good thing. We want that to be done. Now, I will say, there have been reports from residents in Springfield, Ohio, complaining at public meetings about geese and ducks disappearing from parks. That's very different from saying people's pets are being grabbed. There's no actual reports of pets being attacked. Now, you can't just go and start attacking wild birds in the park either that's something you got to get permitted and do all of that, but it's a smaller issue than what has been made it out to be.
I think you're being very kind to the people who are inflating or propagating what is effectively a false rumour. I mean, this was something that appeared pretty clearly, in my view, to be done to defame Haitian immigrants, to smear them. It was such a sort of trope that people are going around eating your pets, and then once the people who propagate that false story are called out on it, they take refuge in these things. Well, there was a goose there was a cat there. And it's just like, no, the accusation that was made was a false accusation, according to all the evidence we have at the moment. It was done against a community that is vulnerable and could be expected to face antagonism, and it has had the effect of inflaming these tensions that are now resulting in school closures, in bomb threats, in people being told, or people telling the media that they are keeping their kids home from school for their safety. It's a pretty disgraceful situation.
Well, again, I think it's, wrong to spread rumors or gossip about things that are just not true. And you're correct. There are no well-founded accusations of pets going missing for any reason, let alone because Haitian migrants are involved. So that part of it was not accurate, should not have been pushed by the right, should not have been brought up by Trump at the debate. There, again, have been people in the community speaking out publicly about the birds in parks, which is a different thing and not as serious. But you can't just, part of this that I found a little annoying. Like people say, well, the police have received no reports, or authorities haven't heard anything about this. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's false. Just because authorities are not taking the complaints of residents seriously enough, or the police have not bothered to look into it, that's not going to reassure anyone. Because part of the thing that the right is saying is that Democratic-run administrations and some Republican-run administrations are not taking the influx of immigrants is not being taken seriously by the powers that be, and it does cause problem in communities, and no one is paying attention to that. So the idea that the authorities would say, of course there's nothing wrong, is just going to, like, that's exactly what they expect to hear.
Yeah, but the whole point of the false or unfounded story was to make, to my mind, an anti-migrant argument. Maybe there are geese going missing from public parks in Ohio, but that would never have been a national story. I mean, no one would care about that, were that the actual core of the story. The core of the story has been these false things. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, aimed at, let's be blunt, black migrants. And that is why the story gained steam. That is why it did, I think, lead to these terrible threats. And that's why there has been such pushback against it. I think, honestly, it's just almost like a semantic or a legalistic argument to get into, like, oh, well, there might be something happening with some animal somewhere in Ohio. Like, that wasn't the accusation.
Yes. Right, Christopher Rufo, conservative activist and writer, put forth a call to say, like, okay, does anyone have evidence of this? And we'll publish it if you do. And he did quickly get someone to publish video of some kind of animal on a grill. Do I know for certain it's a cat? No. Some people said it looks more like a chicken. Some kind of animal. You can't tell. The witness said it was a cat. Now, this was in a different Ohio town. It was not Haitians. It was, I think, African migrants, or maybe not even migrants, just people. So yeah, it's a little bit like, okay, well, we found something sort of tangentially, but again, not the thing you claimed. And it would have to be pretty pervasive for you to say that this is the fault of migrants in general, right, rather than just, and I was pushing back on some people on the right because, like, people do hunt birds. White people hunt, shoot ducks and eat them. I've eaten duck before. So it's fine to do that in the proper. Now, you can't just go to the public park and start mowing down the ducks in the little pond around children and everything. This should be a story of, people are upset in their community sometimes with their neighbors. It can be, sometimes it's racially charged, it can be non-racially charged, and I don't think people should be overlooking that. But yes, obviously the story has gone out of hand, and with death threats and everything being made, that's very bad.
Well, it's also on the generalized nature of it. I mean, as the one immigrant at the table here, if somebody, I'm sure an Irish immigrant has done something ludicrous or damaging or bad at some point, and to suggest that is emblematic of the Irish community, I would take umbrage at. So I understand why people in the Haitian community or in migrant communities more broadly are so upset about this.
I'm a descendant of Italian immigrants. We were also treated like dirt when we arrived in this country, as were your people.
Absolutely.
So we know how that goes. All right, we actually will be covering a little bit more of this later. We'll check in with J.D. Vance being grilled on this subject on CNN. More Rising in just a minute.